Welcome back. President Trump's journey to the White House has opened the door for a number of political outsiders to consider running. One of those is Andrew Yang, an entrepreneur who graduated from Phillips Exeter Academy right here in New Hampshire. Yang has already visited the Granite State many times and is demonstrating in the real world his plan for a universal basic income by giving $1,000 a month to a Goffstown family.
The Freedom Dividend would channel about $8 billion in new buying power into the hands of New Hampshire moms, dads, really any adult would have $1,000, and that would channel all this money that would go right back into the Main Street economy. Here in New Hampshire, it would go to car repairs, the occasional night out, tutoring and food for your kids, home repairs you've been putting off, and all that money would stay right here in New Hampshire. It would create about 15,000 new jobs right here. And that's what you need, because right now those jobs are getting sucked up into the cloud by Amazon and eventually by the self-driving cars and trucks that are coming to our highways very soon. In one state that has had a dividend in effect for 36 years, and in that state, everyone gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. It's wildly popular, has created thousands of jobs, and improves children's health. And that state is Alaska, where they've had an oil dividend in a very deeply conservative state since the early 80s. And so what I say to people is like, look, what is the oil of the 21st century? And if you reflect on that question for a moment, you realize that the oil of the 21st century is technology, software, artificial intelligence, self-driving cars and trucks.
Another outsider with the cash to make things interesting is billionaire and former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz. Schultz is on a book tour and is now saying he may run as an independent. That's despite his record of supporting Democrats, some of whom are saying he could splinter the vote and help the president get reelected.
Nobody wants to see Donald Trump removed from office more than me. If I decide to run for president as an independent, I will believe and have the conviction and the courage to believe that I can win. I can't answer that question today, but I'm certainly not going to do anything to put Donald Trump back in the Oval Office.
Schultz has not announced any plans to visit New Hampshire, but as an independent, he would not need to run in the primary. Another potential independent candidate is Mark Cuban, owner of the NBA's Dallas Mavericks. The investor and entrepreneur hasn't ruled out a run of his own, although he said it would probably be bad parenting. And spiritual author Marianne Williamson says she's ready to overturn politics as usual. She says 2 months of exploring a presidential run, including book signings here in New Hampshire, have convinced her it's the right time.
We really were caring about what is happening in our economy 10, 15, 25 years from now, we would be doing much better by American children. We're the only country in the world that funds our educational system by property taxes. If we cared about long-term peace on the planet, we would not just be preparing for war, we would also be finding ways to wage peace. You wage peace by expanding economic opportunities for women around the world and educational opportunities for children.
A broad variety of options for voters. We'll find out if any of them can come out on top when Granite Staters cast their ballots on primary day. But when exactly will that be? The new factor affecting the election calendar when we come back.